Boys,
What's
welcome
up?
to the program. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Long time
Um, yeah, man, it's been a while since the good old days at UIndy, but I guess we should first talk about that. Shout out to our school. How I met both Colin Bowles and Adam Mahan Williams, our guests for today's show. We went to college together, University of Indianapolis. Colin and I both studied radio. You were the first guy I met in college, in fact,
Yeah,
as
close
the
to.
sports director. And then
Yeah.
later on, I met Adam through UND TV, a little bit of radio too. You in fact won an award, I remember, for radio, even though you weren't in the class. That was like, a drop the mic moment, if I remember correctly.
What was the award?
It was like audio storytelling with Vernon Roselle,
Ooh,
if I remember
I like how
correctly.
you thought about it and knew exactly what it was.
It was something that he had done for like audio production, and they had submitted it for IASB, and then later on, it was awarded something. So
one of my many awards.
You're a humble one.
yeah.
Dude, honestly, I can't remember. UND feels like forever ago.
Right?
How did you guys meet? I mean, I know, but like, what was the story on like how you guys met?
I was at the sports director at the time, and
Yeah.
Jimmy wanted to be in the sports department.
Guys, you need to reenact it.
Yeah. Okay.
Jimmy, you want to be sports
Hey,
department?
Colin.
Hey, Jimmy,
Listen, I hear you like sports, and I'd really like to do that.
Sweet,
That's pretty much kind of how it started.
And see,
But
that's our acting thing.
but how, I guess, to start a most obvious question, what inspired founding this company for you?
What inspired us? Well, I think the pandemic. Obviously, I think that gave us a lot of free time that wasn't filled up with like going out and doing things. And so I wrote a script earlier before the quarantine, and we liked it because we wanted to film something. I did Yuppies, which was cool, and that was more of like just getting my foot in the door and learning on the go. But now I wanted to do something for real now that I knew how to do everything correctly. Because though Yuppies was more of like a guerrilla filmmaking type thing. So we wanted to do something the right way. So I wrote a script, and we both read it, and it was like the story was there, but the script itself needed a lot of work.
And the location.
Yeah. And it took place on like an island, so things along those lines. And we both said before this that our next movie, because Adam came in on the tail end of Yuppies, and that's when we started getting really close and planning our next venture. But we're like, if we're gonna do something the next time around, we're gonna do it right. Because Yuppies took like 4 months to film all together, and it was very guerrilla style. It was just me doing all the work pretty much. So it's the only the thing that you could do. So we said, whatever we do next is going to be done the right way. We're going to put time and effort and money into it and do it that way. So we kind of jinxed the other script. And then we went to my aunt's house, and she lives in Plymouth, Indiana, and she has a boat, and we were sitting there. And she has a pretty nice house. And we were looking at her house, and we were thinking of stories that could take place in this house. And one just kind of came to me, and we wrote it. We loved the script, and then we were going to do it. And we thought, since we're going to film this movie, we might as well take the next step with it and release that movie with our new production company. Because Adam's always talked about like actors and people that have started their own business. He likes a lot of entrepreneurs. So we've always had this idea, but it just kind of timed out well.
Yeah, Colin and I always emphasize too that it kind of traced back a little bit before the pandemic. Him and I've been, we've been through a lot together. Like he's the one that kind of convinced me to move to Chicago because I thought about moving to LA. He's like, dude, just move up here. We've worked the same jobs together. Now we live together. We literally work the same job right now together. So we're with each other 24/7. And we came up with 2W because, we both, it's a funny story too. We both got the same agent the same day, literally got the same phone call that same day. And we always talked about like when you're going to auditions, doing all this stuff, that you're kind of always waiting for like a seat at the table. like waiting for someone to cast you in something, waiting for someone to finally like discover you or whatever. But with this movie and this production company, we're just kind of thinking, why don't we just build our own table?
I said that our first interview, and every interview since, you've always said that before me.
Yeah.
That little build your own table thing. He steals it, man.
Colin's trying to trademark it, but
He's
appropriating the culture of Colin Bowles, but
when
it's a good statement. I mean, it's true.
It is. When we actually
it's like
when we got our agent, we interviewed on the same day, and Adam went before me. And I was just sharing myself. You have these meetings, and they just talk to you. They're trying to get a feel for you.
right.
And I told her I was from Indianapolis. She was like, I had someone else that was from Indianapolis. And she started looking on her desk and pulled out Adam's headshot. And I was like, do you know this guy? And I didn't know if I should say yes, because like that would screw up our chances. So I just said no. I was just like, he looks familiar, just because I wasn't lying. He did look familiar.
Think of him. And then from there you go, yeah, I don't know him, or I know.
And almost just like a couple months ago, she figured out we were roommates.
like after like a year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just kind of decided to start our company, and then from there, we found like ways to help other actors here in Chicago locally. Hopefully, go bigger as time comes and build this into more of a brand instead of just a production company that you see like Warner Brothers or something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's almost like, what if Warner Brothers had a designer clothes you would want to wear? That's kind of like, that's the seed we're kind of playing with.
Okay. Well, what I thought of immediately when you guys formed this production company, I thought of like, they talk about acting, and they talked about this too with radio and TV, that the industry is so tight knit that it's really a smaller group of people than you would anticipate. When I think of like guys like Adam Sandler, Martin Scorsese, the Colin brothers, they use the same group of actors in most of their productions. Is that going to be an effort where you guys find a group of people that you really like as characters, and then you'll keep recycling them with different scripts? Is that the hope eventually?
The goal,
That'd be amazing.
We
just have like the same, even like crew too. Just have a crew where you can just call up on them like, hey, we got a new idea, and they're like, let's just do it,
Yeah. I think that too. It all starts with Charlatan that we're filming here in the spring. So that's why it's like so much pressure on it. Of like, if that turns out really well, people want to work with us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it a matter of, so let's assume that you get this project done. At that point, do you go to Sundance, these independent film festivals, and hope that it catches steam? I mean, what's the next step in the process once you have some productions finished?
Yeah, that's usually how it works. You submit. So after you get all your like post-production stuff, the sound mixing, color correction, grading, all that good stuff, you start submitting it to festivals. And pretty early on, you get a gauge on how people are going to respond to it. You kind of do these things called test screenings to see during the editing process, and you get notes from it. Like, I like this part. I didn't really like this person. So you kind of start gauging on how people like it. So you submit to those types of festivals, and obviously the Sundance and Kings and all those are the really big ones. But you have these local, a lot of places do like monthly film festivals. That's where Yuppies picked up a lot of its awards. So you submit to a lot of those, and that's where you kind of find where water finds its level, So I think that's where you find your level, and you see if it's good or not.
I think it'd be fun too. We want to as well, like have premieres both in like Chicago and Indianapolis. So I think it's a cool moment for us, like doing this film production company and then being able to share that with family and friends. So yeah, it all just depends on like the film. I can't even think. Film festival circuit. That's like the biggest thing for us right now.
And we always said too, like obviously people go to film school, things along those lines. And Adam and I know what we're doing, and we've said that we're just going to keep our head down and do it our way. Because I mean, bands do that. One of my favorite bands is 21 Pilots. And they said they did that when they were first starting, of like just keeping their head down, not worrying about what other people are doing, because you find something else along the way. And Adam and I have done a really good job of doing that so far. And we launched a week ago, and so far it's paying off, and people are responding well to it. So we're really trying not to lose that as the pressure comes up to us filming this. and just doing it the way we want to do it. And we always say too, we'd rather have people that give in to the way that we do things than the best people in the world doing it. And I think that's really important when you're trying to do something on this scale.
Yeah, I agree. Because we have people on the spectrum of, we have people that have been to film school, we have people that have not been to film school. And it's nice because like you learn so much from different people. So with us, we're considering this more like guerrilla filmmaking for this movie because our first weekend alone in Plymouth, we're shooting 25 scenes.
Yeah, 25 out of 30 scenes.
So it's going to be like a small, like 48-hour film festival, I feel like.
So we're all going to hate each other.
So it's like, go, 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 go. But it's nice.
This is the honeymoon phase.
And we had to get this first one out of the, we have 3 weekends we're shooting. We're glad we're doing this one on the first weekend because it's going to drain us a lot. And the following 2 weekends are pretty much just like 2 or 1 scenes that we're like shooting, which will be nice. But yeah, we have a spectrum of so many people, and even like the casting process for this, as like an actor like ourselves, when you go to an audition, you go to it, you don't get a call back or like, oh, they didn't like you or whatever, and you just feel like, I'm not good enough, or I didn't have the look or anything like that.
Right.
But as we were casting this, people would reach out and they would send us like really good auditions, and they were such good actors, but they were just not right for the role. They just didn't have the look that we were looking for. And going through that process, it kind of made us feel somewhat better because we just felt like, I just lost my train of thought pretty much.
Good, turn on that camera.
Yeah, we'll cut this out. But gosh,
no, just seeing the other side of how things, being the ones casting people, you see like, okay, this person is a great actress or actor, but they just don't fit the role. So it kind of gives you more confidence as an actor.
Yeah.
Was that a good?
That was literally what I was trying to say.
Was that a good recap?
You were like doing that, and I don't know, I got sidetracked.
See, that's why you have a creative partner, man. He fills in the gaps. That's what you do.
Each other's.
I guess I'm so happy that you guys ended up working together. I feel like it's a perfect pairing between personalities and what's expected with the projects, because I worked with both of you and I really enjoyed it. I guess my question to you, being from Indianapolis and now in Chicago, and having gone to you guys were both at Second City, right, for a time together.
We've taken classes and worked there.
How important is it to have that creative partner, that guy that you can call and bounce ideas off of at any time, and you're kind of in the process together? I mean, I think it makes it more interesting than doing something completely on your own.
Yeah, and it's really easy to kind of force that with someone, especially when people get out here. They want to find that yin and yang type thing. And I know there are people where I try to like force that creative niche, but Adam and I too, I think we complement each other well. Because when he moved out here, I barely knew him. He moved out in September, and we met for like, really, we had classes in college.
We knew of each other, but we didn't know each other.
In July. So throughout that first year was us just learning each other, and we started complimenting each other well, and finding similar interests, and just we had similar life experiences which brought us together. Because to do filmmaking, you kind of have to have an ignorance about it, because like financially, like it's not the best move to put all your money into this. You know what I mean? It's more financially suitable to get a 9-to-5 job and something along those lines. So you kind of have to have an ignorance to all this, and I think we both have that, to have that dream of accomplish something. And both of us always say, like, we could move back to Indy today and be completely satisfied with what we've accomplished and what we've done. In the 4 years I've been in Chicago, it's been eye-opening of just all the experiences I've had, people I've met, things we've done. So yeah, it's great to have someone to go through that with you.
And we can just have those honest conversations too, where when like we're doing self-tapes together, we can be honest with each other, like, okay, that wasn't a good take, it was good, but like we can get it better, and we're honest with each other so much going forward that we can have those conversations where we don't really get into like arguments or anything or like fights
Mhm.
because we never let it get to that point. But it's nice because like sometimes when you have two creative people
Right.
trying to figure something out with a film or whatnot, I can just be like, I can make a film, like make a promo or make a trailer, do something. Colin's like, I don't know if I really like that. So we'll just go back and start from phase one and go from there. But yeah, dude. I mean, Jimmy can relate too. You know, kind of after you lose a parent, you kind of just reevaluate your life.
Yeah.
And at that time in my life, I knew I was 25. It was September of 2018. I knew I always wanted to give this acting thing a shot. Literally, just happened to see Colin at a party. We started talking, and he's like, "Dude, just move to Chicago." And literally 2 months later, I was sleeping on his couch. But
Just doing it, man.
literally, yeah.
We'll see
Well,
where that gets.
you know, I thought of Jim Carrey when you guys were talking in that last answer. You know, he has a great quote that I love. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well try and do something that you love. You know, and I think that's what you guys are doing. And Adam, you brought it up. You know, when you do lose a parent, it changes perspective on a lot on what you want to go for. And you know, you're two guys that I'm really rooting for to get this going, because I know they would both be proud of you, what you're doing. I know that.
Yeah.
Very kind of you to
No, I
say.
appreciate that. Thank you.
But I guess going through like the strengths and weaknesses where you complement one another, what would you say are your strengths and weaknesses that are complemented by one another?
Weakness is definitely perfection. You know, perfectionism.
Framing it.
Yeah.
No, I think my weakness is I get so gung ho of like, let's do it now, let's do this now, let's do that now. So that's where Adam really compliments me.
And then I think my biggest weakness is as soon as I feel like I've not even failed at something, but I mess up on something, I'll just like kind of get negative about myself, and like Colin's the type of person that can just pick me back up or like, dude, you're fine. Like, you know,
Do I have any other weaknesses?
we can talk later. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, strength-wise, I think we both share the common thing of just we're very goal-driven with this, and we know what we want out of it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a difference when it comes to what the end goal of this is. And what our company, basically our logo is just create, is that's what we're doing, is just putting content out there. It's not to get viral, it's not to get famous, it's not to make money.
Just do something that makes us happy.
Yeah, because again, after going through all that stuff, you realize what's important. Like me, I was working as a sports anchor, and then after all that stuff happened, I realized I was more in love with being on camera than reporting the news for it, and just kind of took the jump and moved to Chicago, and Adam followed, and it's all worked out since. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's one of the reasons I started this podcast, because I would hate to go in and do a daily show, and then even if that show went great, it's all about the next show. And
Yeah.
I realized that, consistency is part of content, showing up each week and having a product to show. But it's okay to take some time and to let it breathe a little bit. That's what I respect about you guys. You don't put anything out unless it's quality stuff.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like that needs to kind of be a shift in the industry. I feel like people are just producing content, and it's not even necessarily good content.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
No,
I know what you mean though.
Yeah, with the Yuppies too. That's where, because you look at people like Donald Glover, who doesn't tweet or TikTok or anything like that, and he just comes up with stuff. And with Yuppies, like I wanted it to be kind of mysterious, of people to be like, what is this? Like, what is a show? What is it going to be? Instead of putting it all out there. Because as creators and artists, I think we get very excited when we come up with an idea. The classic big announcement coming. I hope I never do that. But I see why people do that. It's because they get excited about it.
Right.
But there is a lore to like the mysteriousness of that, and
that's what attracts me to people, dude. It's just like seeing people on stage or in movies or what, even behind the scenes too, in like Hollywood and all that. Of just like they come out with something, they do a couple of interviews, and then you just don't hear from them again. Like there's so much mysterious because you want to know more. That's what.
Who's the guy that does that in Hollywood?
I guess more like older people. I can look at like the George Clooney's, the Brad Pitts, like Tom
Sure.
Hardy. He has an Instagram, but he barely posts on it.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver as well, UND guy for a year. But
Hey,
Glover.
yeah, but like, it's just cool because like you don't hear from them that much, but you want to know like what are they up to, and then you kind of hear from them once, and then they kind of disappear again. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of the career I kind of want to shoot for, you know.
And we're both of us aren't social media guys for the most part. Like we're on it, but we don't. Like we both have TikToks, but we don't TikTok. We've had to start doing
Yeah.
it with 2W because we have a TikTok there, and we started a vlog on YouTube.
Like a weekly vlog.
Yeah, so that's like the most content we put out there because we both aren't like I've obviously done sketches and impressions and things along those lines, but I just like the pressure that people have to go through seems so
my
tough.
God.
Like
Some
once
people are
they go
great at it,
viral,
yeah.
once they go viral, like you have to have one like every day.
right?
And that's
Yeah.
just not something I would want to do.
Yeah,
Like those people that do it are great at it.
Yeah, they thrive. But
Yeah,
to
I
me
envy
at
them.
least, I know I couldn't personally do it.
It's exhausting for me to watch it, boys.
And
know?
like, go back to the mysterious part, like 21 Pilots. They did their album cycle, did their tour, and then both of them stayed off social media for a year. And then they started like posting these random cryptic tweets, and that got people like guessing. And it was more of a marketing routine to it.
Mhm.
And that's a difference than if they were tweeting every day. Like in between a tweet, they would send out a random cryptic tweet.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the lore of it to me
Yeah.
too.
Well, and just to relate the podcast, and I'm not even in the same stratosphere before anyone jumps on me. You know, the idea of like Howard Stern only doing 3 shows a week, and then maybe he does 1 interview that week. The concept of, you know, that for me was like, let me talk to people that like you guys that I know previously without having to force things and ask the same generic questions. Let's actually do a deep dive on people that I care about and want to, you know, promote in some way. You know, that's important to me.
Yeah, and obviously to get to Howard Stern's level is he's obviously accomplished a lot to be able to do that. But it's being okay with the fact. I think it's being okay with the fact that you're not doing anything because you need to mentally like rest.
It's like you're planning something, but you're not putting stuff out like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you need to, because if you like keep coming out with things back to back to back, they're all going to kind of be the same.
Mhm.
So I think you need to like live life in between those projects. And I'm talking like movies or shows that we would put out. Like people ask me about Yuppies in the season 2. I don't have any thoughts about it, but like I want to let time pass in between there because season 2 would just be like season 1. So I think it's important to kind of have the humanity aspect to everything you do.
That's what stifled me when I would do radio, you know, week to week with 1430. It's like, man, we gotta come back tomorrow and do this. Like I'm out.
Talking
You know,
about
I'm
the
maxed
same
out.
sports stories that you did the day
Oh,
before, but just a little, maybe a new interview, but maybe a new twist. He said something, the coach, like Carson Wentz coming to the Colts now. Like they're going to be talking about that for a week. And they're going to be having a different angle here.
and the pandemic without sports, holy hell, that would have been difficult. Like,
I don't listen to much talk radio anymore, but I can't imagine how it was like last April.
yeah, I mean, Colin Cowherd on his show was like, thank God the NBA came back because we are literally out of stuff, you know, like a week before
like life issues.
But let's go back to Yuppies. You brought that up several times. What's the premise of that show, and where can people find it if they wanted to watch it?
There's the little clapboard up there.
Oh, cool. Very good.
It's on Amazon Prime. Just search Yuppies. But so that was kind of, I don't know. I'm going to repeat it. That was me building my chair to be able to sit at the table and learn from that experience. But it was loosely based on my life. And honestly, it was kind of like a mourning for me. It was a concept and the kind of, because I didn't want my future to be like dictated by my past of like having your girlfriend and then mom die within consecutive years. because at home it's almost like you have a black eye. When it happened, not so much anymore, but people are always like walking on eggshells, and all of us here can kind of relate to that because we've all lost a parent.
Yep.
So that was kind of like the last thing that I was going to do that was reflective of that, and it was also a way for me to show how someone going through that feels, because you feel different emotions that you never know you can feel, and you feel weird, you feel out of place, and you go from good to bad to happy to breaking down within seconds. So I think that was a way to show it through Decker's eyes, to make characters of a whole lot of different issues, but that was really the main one, and I'm really proud with how it turned out. I can't watch it now because I critique it like no other.
I can't listen to my interviews either.
Yeah.
Once they're done, I don't listen to them. It's like I experienced it, man. I don't need to hear it again.
Yeah. You should have seen
Yeah.
us when we were editing that, like trying to finish up because it came out September 20th of 2019, and that like week and a half before, dude, Colin and I, like we were staying up to like 3 or 4 in the morning trying to edit, working 9 to 5 the next day.
I had to upload it to Amazon Prime like 5 days before, and each file was so big it took like 3 hours, and there's 6 episodes, so each episode took like 3 hours. So I stayed up all night that night, just like making sure my computer didn't fall asleep. And then I was like doing temp jobs. I was like classic like actor work of doing temp jobs, and I was starting one the next day. So I didn't sleep at all, and then put that on Amazon Prime and went to that and started that temp job.
Yeah. But it was like, now we look back at it, I'm like, dude, that's like such a crazy story now to think about.
Yeah.
And now it's on to the next project, and looking at our new project now with Charlton, it's almost like we're gonna have that same experience that first weekend or so of doing it. But this time will be nice because we'll have pretty much the whole summer to edit this time instead of just
and we know what we're doing when it comes to like filming wise, and we know what we want to accomplish and how we want to accomplish, which is good. Because that I was kind of finding it along the way with Yuppies, but this time around it's more of I already know the feeling that I want from it. I'm pretty happy with the script, and I think it's a really solid script. We actually went to the quarterfinals in a national script writing competition for it. So again, back to the film festival thing, that's a way to gauge it. So we gauged it that it's a good script, and I got notes from a lot of people, and the former co-owner of Second City's invested in it. And I've got people that I have friends out in LA. One guy who's in doing something with Daniel Radcliffe or trying to have a movie with him, but he liked it. So just getting that feedback was really good, and knowing that you're doing all this time and effort on not like The Room.
Exactly.
Not that type of script.
The night before Yuppies, him and I rewatched The Room, or The Disaster Artist.
The Disaster.
The Disaster Artist.
Yeah,
The Room's the actual movie, But we were just like, dude, hopefully it doesn't come to this.
That was so scary, because we had a premiere at the Music Box here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And we watched that the night before, which I don't recommend doing it. But the premiere was so cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
So yeah, Yuppies was good. I'm glad it's over.
No season 2 preview as of yet?
I don't know. Never say never. There would be a lot of different things changed, but I feel like I'd be, if like to put it in like a band term, I'd be singing the same songs. I don't know if I can grow, or again, life has to happen in between there for there to be a season 2. There might be something. I don't know. I have episode ideas. Because part of that too was just highlighting Chicago and how great I thought it was. Because when I moved here, I just thought it was really like downtown. I didn't know about like Lincoln Park and
like the little neighborhoods in Chicago.
And it's a really young city too. So Yuppies highlighted that as well. So I still love Chicago. So maybe.
You know what amazes me about the podcast so far? It's amazing to me. One, the power of social media. Just being able to reach out to like a celebrity if their DMs are open, shooting your shot and hoping that they reply. And then just the degrees of separation. I mean, you guys alone, I'm sure, did you come across anybody famous at Second City that you got to meet or learn from?
Oh my God, so many.
Well, like you like see people, and like when you're working, you're not supposed to like engage with them.
Yeah,
or
I
saw Lorne Michaels.
Yeah, Steve Martin Shore. I talked with Fred Armisen. Horatio Sands, who was on SNL.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like that's the cool place
So many
about
people.
going there is, who's the guy that plays Better Call Saul?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, I know who
I
you're
cannot
talking
think of
about.
his name right now.
Bob
Oh,
Odenkirk,
oh my god.
right?
There it is.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
one day he was just there, like he's sitting on like the ledge on one of the like real nicer seats at Second City, and I was a host, and I just look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, my manager's like, yeah, don't say anything. But like, he just goes out like normal. Some people are just like, oh yeah, can I get a picture? But he just like walks about his day. It's
Yeah.
just so casual. It's so like
Chance the
nonchalant.
Rapper's been
Yeah.
there. Like people too. Like I've heard podcasts with like Jason Sudeikis, and he says when he comes to Chicago, one of the first things he does is goes checks out the new show at Second City. So it was really cool to work at that when we first moved here because it's such a staple of Chicago and meeting people that came from different places and really did acting or behind the scenes
We
or
kind of had like all had the same dream too, to
Yeah.
a certain extent. Yeah.
so it was nice. I'm glad we got our like day jobs before the pandemic because unfortunately, obviously, Second City closed during this and still is closed. So we got lucky.
Mhm.
Are they planning on reopening eventually? I mean,
I think so.
They just got
They
literally-
sold today.
Yeah, they literally just sold to like a private equity firm.
So, but I think nothing's going to change. Like,
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think they still plan on opening it whatever phase Chicago's in right now.
so are there regulations that you have to follow with like production as far as the virus and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so you have to have a COVID compliance officer on site, which that is someone just make sure that you're doing everything right, which we're in the preparations of doing right now. We're hoping there's a mass vaccine and everybody gets cured and we don't have to worry about that. But we know that's not going to be the case. So yeah, it's the thing that sucks about it is you have to limit people on set. Obviously, try to stay 6 feet apart. Everybody has to wear masks if they're not talking. So those types of normal things to do, which won't be too bad because I think everybody's pretty used to it by now and knows like there are no weird rules that you really have to follow.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of common courtesy now.
what other services do you think the production company, at least in the beginning stages, are going to provide? I mean, do you hope to document like concerts or do documentaries, anything outside of filmmaking per se?
Yeah.
Right now we're doing our big service too is like self-tapes for actors. He's going to do scripts consulting with whoever reaches out to about like reaching out about scripts and whatnot.
But yeah, we're not putting it like I was saying earlier. It's like Warner Brothers. What if they had a designer brand?
Sure.
We're keeping our heads down, like I keep saying, and just seeing what this turns into. And right now, we want to help out local actors here in Chicago because we're lucky enough to be each other's roommates. But we've had auditions where our agent will be like, "I need this by tonight," and if I didn't live with him, we would have no one to read with us or like good sound or good lighting. So just giving someone a cheap way to get that done is, I think, a good way for us to do our part within the scale that we can right now, and make connections through that and keep building it. I know Dylan, who also is kind of like the business side of our company, he like we're focused on like the fashion of it and just building 2W as a brand itself, which is cool. Because again, we're storytellers, so maybe the story of this kind of has to there's going to be stories within it. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my mind.
It's nice too having Dylan Taylor, which him and Colin have been best friends since like first grade. How long you guys been friends? Sixth grade. I've known him too forever, but it's nice having three friends do a company together. And Dylan's like he is business side, but it's awesome too because he knows the movies. He understands how a lot of this process works, and we come to him with all these like great ideas of like what we want to do. Like, oh, next we want to do this, and he's like,
some not great.
And he's like, that's awesome. Yeah, and he's like, that's awesome. But like, how are we gonna pay for it? So he's like more like realistic about that kind of stuff. But 9 times out of 10, he's like, dude, let's just like give it a shot and see what happens. Because this production company, we're so young right now. We don't know what this thing is. We don't know what it's going to turn into. So it's like, why not give it everything you have, you know?
Yeah. So we have goals with it, but again, just keeping our head down and rolling
Well,
with it.
it's just amazing to me in 2020, you know, technology has improved so much that
You know what the
you
worst thing about this is? I'll tell you that.
what
I've noticed it with
what
Adam. You don't know where to look because we have you right here, us right up here in the
here.
corner, and here's the camera.
I keep looking up
I know
here.
you do.
you guys are looking good. You look good.
I've been trying to focus on the camera here, but I've noticed Adam keeps looking up every time he talks because you're like right here.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part. That's the bad thing about this technology.
It is. There are some flaws to it, but the like I mean cameras, you know, the content is king, right? I mean, at this point, like distribution is much easier than it was 20 years ago. Is that am I right?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, what how did you I'm just curious, what's the process on like getting something on Prime if you wanted to?
Not as hard as you think. When I first released it, people probably thought I was like a millionaire because they're like, "Oh, so Prime paid for it." I go, "No, not at all. It's like iTunes. It's like if you wanted to put a podcast on iTunes, you just kind of you have to meet some qualifications for it,
Okay.
with resolution and getting a closed caption and everything along those lines. And then you put it up there. You just upload it, which takes a little while. But again, that was my part of giving Yuppies more credibility, and the allure of it, of kind of making it a little mysterious and then it on Amazon Prime, because people would think, oh, it's on Amazon Prime, it's a Prime Video. I wouldn't correct them at first because it is on Amazon Prime. I was just paying for it all, but so it's not as hard as you think, and that I think that's kind of what we've learned too. A lot of things aren't as hard as you think they are to do.
Yeah, my biggest fear was moving away from like home, everything I've known. And after talking to Colin, I was still like on the edge. But finally, once you kind of take that leap, and I moved away, and then after like a week, it was just like, what am I scared of?
Yeah.
Why was I so scared to move away, even though it's only 3.5, 4 hours away from home? It's just been a fun experience so far. I've learned more about myself. I'm glad I moved away from home. I do miss my friends and family sometimes, but I wouldn't want to be doing anything else right now. I'm so happy. You know, we work these 9 to 5 job, which is great, but it's nice to be working on something outside of work. You're working on yourself or working on this movie. And yeah, like I feel like we're both like in a great place right now.
Well, and I'm excited too that you guys are choosing to document the process, you know, through the vlog and everything, because I feel like, you know, we listen. I know Adam does. You listen to Gary Vee. He talks about documenting versus creating, right? Yeah, you know, so people can be a part of the process with you. That's really cool. That you're gonna have all that footage to look back on. Huh?
I'm always like Colin. I'll like give him an example about. I'll give Colin an example about Gary Vee. I'm like, you know Gary Vee, right? He's like, yes.
He says it every time.
Every
He
time.
shows you something. He's
Gotta
like,
preface
this
it.
blogger I follow, or blogger I follow, Gary Vee. It's like, you told me this 18 times.
All right, so let me
Say Gary Vee. Save some time.
He loves Gary Vee.
Let me see here. Hold on 1 second. Adam, you were on you did a guest spot on an NBC show not too long ago, right?
Yeah, it's been over it's been close to like a year now, but yeah, that happened right before COVID. I shot that last February, and literally a month later, COVID happened, and the show came out. That episode came out like in March, but yeah, that was such a fun experience. That was Chicago PD.
Yeah, take me through it. I mean, who were you on camera with?
Yeah, tell him all the text you were sending me, like, this could be us.
Dude, I was excited. Like here, like when you move here, you do like a bunch of extra work. Like I did a lot of extra work, like on Empire, a lot of them on Empire, honestly. There was another show on Fox that I can't remember, but you're just doing so much. And when you do extra work, you're almost just treated like cattle. They're like, all right, everyone over here.
Yeah, they are.
But then finally I did like Chicago PD and I had a few lines. And as soon as they find out you have a line, they're like, all right, get this guy. So like I had like my own little trailer. I had wardrobe, I had makeup. You got to eat on set. It was pretty nice.
Because when you're an extra, you don't get to eat.
Yeah.
No, you do.
I mean, like, but it's not. I feel like it's not as good, dude. It's not as good. But yeah, that was such a cool day because that was like my first time ever on like a real professional set, and I was so excited.
He had 2 lines and he kept going. He did like 3 hours on them. I was like, Adam, I think you got him.
Dude, he made fun of me because I read the whole script, and I was like, dude, I wanted to make sure I knew what was happening.
It makes fun of you. It's funny when Adam gets flustered.
I get excited. Yeah. But yeah, dude, we our trailers were at like the White Sox stadium, like in the parking lot. So I went to like the White Sox stadium that day, like early in the morning. The guy like changed, did hair and makeup, and I'm sitting there in like the makeup chair, and my hands are just like pale white. And she's like doing to make me look a little bit more like a drug addict, I guess. And she was like, "Honey, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine." And I was like, "I know, but I'm just like freaking out right now." But it was so cool. Like I get to set, and everyone was just like calling me by first name. They made me feel like I was one of their own that day.
Then you have the actors that do the episode like every week, and they're just like, "All right, let's do the take.
I
Let's
was
get
like,
in and get out."
I was like in the corner trying to get ready to be this character, and like people were just like looking at me. And then the main actor just walks in after smoking a cigarette, just throws it on the ground. He's like, "All right, let's do this real quick," and just does the scene real quick.
Yeah, like perfectly.
Just perfectly. Because I mean, dude, he's been doing it for years. Yeah, dude, that was I learned a lot that day. And then at the end of the day, it was cool. They like brought me back in, and they were like, "That's a wrap on Adam," and they all just started clapping.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
So yeah, that was a really cool day. I learned a lot that day.
Did the actors on set like give you support? Were they? I mean, how many takes did you end up doing?
I'm already painfully shy. If you don't know me, Colin can say that. Like,
no way.
I'm awkward at some point. Yeah. I remember like the main guy was just like, Adam, tell me something good. Just comes up and tries to talk to me. And I was like, I got nothing, man. I was like, I don't know what to say right now. But yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun. I don't know.
How many takes did it take for your 3 lines you had to do? You remember?
They cut one of them, I think, right? Didn't they cut one?
Well, no, it was a little bit longer, but before the audition, they cut the scene a little bit shorter. Because the first scene, like the first audition, I was supposed to have like the main guy by like the neck and I had a knife, and they're just like, no. So they just did it so I had like a knife in my hand, and he had a gun drawn on me. But dude, that like auditioning process was so funny because when you go in for auditions like that, you're not just people, like there's a couple people that were like I was going up against or whatever you want to say, but there was a few other people that were going in for different roles. Like someone was getting cast as like the father of like the daughter that gets killed that episode or whatever, and you're like waiting outside the audition room, and you just hear this guy go, like you're talking to the guy next to you, and he just goes in there and he's just like, "Oh my God, my daughter!" And then they're like, "All right, that was great. Yeah, we'll let you know." And then I just go in there and then did the first time, and the chick just looked at me and she's like, "Let's do that again." I was so nervous. It was like 2 lines.
Auditioning is one of the weirdest things you could ever do. You sit in a room. Well, now it's Zoom, but before the pandemic, it was like you would sit in this room sometimes for like 3 hours and just sitting there going over your lines. Then you go into this random all white room. Like, have you seen La La Land? Like, that's a perfect representation of what it's like. Sometimes they have a video camera and there's 2 people there and they're like, "All right, go," and you say 2 lines and they're like, "Thanks."
But I mean, I went that day like dressed like a drug addict. Like, my shirt was torn, my pants were torn. I was wearing like these boots and all that. And a lot of the other guys were like in like nice ties. And I was like,
"You got the part?"
I got the part, but at first I'm like, "Am I an idiot?" Like I just dressed like the freaking, like I did my
dress for the job you want, man. It was a drug addict on TV.
And that's the job you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, that was such a cool experience. Like that happened, and then COVID happened as well.
I feel like it would be like going on.
Yeah, it was not a cool experience. So yeah.
I feel like it would be similar to trying out for American Idol. I imagine like 3 judges at a table,
Yeah, I could not imagine.
I feel like that's a little more pageant feel. At least if you get the in-person audition, they've already seen you. So you've already got past that.
And that's the thing though with those 2, it's like you actually have to walk in and kind of talk for a second.
Yeah.
Like they're like, "Oh yeah, where are you from?" It's like, "Oh, I'm from Houston, Texas," whatever, blah, blah, blah. But with this one, they're like, "What's your name, Adam?" "All right, go."
Because they're just been doing this for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
So
yeah. what Adam can speak to this, because I think there are some things you could change with his look, with the longer hair and the facial hair and stuff. But how important, and I guess, you know, you can't change your bone structure or anything, but how important as an actor is it to be able to look different for different parts? You know what I mean?
We like talk about this a lot because we don't really go to like the same auditions at all. Because you got to think Colin's 6'6", blonde hair, blue eyes,
Right.
5'10", 5'10" and a half on a good day. You know, long brown hair, a beard. So that's what's always nice because we can go to each other about stuff because it never feels like a competition. But I think it is nice too that you're able to like stand out, or how can I stand out? You know, because we didn't go to like the theater school, we didn't go to acting school. And I don't know, I guess trying to find different ways because like I don't play an instrument. You play like kind of the guitar. I guess. Yeah. I think it is important to a certain extent. I mean, someday I will cut this and cut my beard, but it's a lot easier to cut this instead of having to grow it back out really quick.
No, I have this
he's got that
thing
going.
for my next role in Charlatan. So
Yeah.
it is important. I think Adam gets a lot of good auditions because of the way he looks, and he has that nice, sexy voice that he has. So, and he's good actor, so that helps too.
I mean, the guy that I always think of is Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad. You know, like that guy looked completely different, you know, based just on a few changes, you know, that he made to his
and that's the part, like you see Christian Bale, who loses like 50 pounds, 60 pounds, gains it, changes accents. So there's a lot you can change just by like dieting and working out and cutting hair, and plus makeup, prosthetics, which are used heavily now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, another guy, Jonah Hill. Seems like that guy fluctuates weights crazy, man.
Like, he's watched War Dogs in it. He's a lot bigger than he is now.
Dude, he's so funny in that though. He's so
funny. And wasn't Superbad like a low budget production? I thought I read that somewhere.
I know it was.
I'm trying to think.
I get that confused with 40-Year-Old Virgin, because I know that one was kind of.
Yeah.
But I knew they didn't think Superbad was going to do as good as they did, because they like doubled the marketing budget afterwards. So like there are things that like take off, because what's his face, Seth Rogen was doing an interview, and they said after they did their like first showing or first screening, like people were dying. So they knew that it was kind of like, okay, this can be pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. 2W Productions, your production company, just launched. How can people find out more about the company and get some more information about it if they want it, if they're interested?
2W Productions.com. TWOW, I guess we should say now.
TWOW, yeah.
TWOW Productions. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we're vlogging now. Our next vlog comes out on Fridays.
Yeah, I gotta edit it after those.
Yeah. But yeah, we're selling shirts right now. We got some other apparel coming in these next couple weeks to raise money for our movie, which in this launch week has been awesome. We just passed 500 likes on Facebook. It's been really fun just seeing the support from everybody else. But yeah, TWOW, TWOW Productions.com.
And you guys, how can people find out more about you if they're more interested in just following you?
TWOW Productions.com.
There we go.
The bios on there. I have a personal website, colinbowles.com, COLINBOWLES.com.
Yeah, I don't have a website, so
we gotta get you one.
If you find Colin, you'll find me.
Well, guys, been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and I truly mean it. I'm rooting for you guys to win, and I hope you do in the end.
It's been nice to catch up too.
Nice seeing you, buddy.
Hey, before you go, you are one of the last people I visited before I moved to Chicago.
Yeah, man, I gave you the final push, you know?
Yeah. Jimmy's like, you got to do it, kid. You want to be a star, you got to move there.
Puts the cigarette out.
Yeah, he's just smoking a cigarette.